Let me make an appeal to all people of goodwill worldwide regarding the African American people in a racial context. A large number of people believe that I'm an Uncle Tom or an Uncle Ruckus or I'm a self-hater. They have arrived at that decision because I do not walk in the shoes of persons like Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or the typical leader of black people who, in a consensus, whether it be Malcolm X or Frederick Douglass or Harriet Tubman or others, they are in a united 100% consensus that the problems that black African American Negroes experience all stems from one source and one source only, and that is the white man. Recently, I posted up some statements regarding the fact that black people have not made any major contributions to humankind. They've not built a seaworthy boat, though the continent of Africa itself has a 25,000-mile circumference, as much as the circumference of the earth itself, of seawater. They never built a boat that was seaworthy. There is not one book that predates the slave trade coming from any part of Africa written by an African predating slavery and the slave trade. Not one song, not one great period of music, such as the great Baroque period of music, not one painting, not one major piece of art that ever came out of that continent prior to the slave trade. And the list goes on and on of the fact that there has been no major and significant contributions by the Africans up until the time of slavery. And though slavery in its brutality was a horrific event here in America and around the world of Africans, it was that advent that then gave blacks, through the aid and support of the white European establishment, the opportunity to make contributions, write books, and create music, and become doctors and the like. But the writer responded to me, the reason why I don't know of any books or artwork of music or any of those kinds of things, is because the Europeans have written the history of Africa and the world, and so therefore the history or the contributions that Africans would have made have been omitted by the Europeans. You see, isn't that exactly what I am saying? You see, when that responder stated that the Europeans have written the history, he's also at this and therefore have excluded contributions by the blacks into global history. He is in fact saying that the white man is superior in terms of who controls the destiny of the planet. And whatever contributions blacks could have or would have made have been dismissed by the all-powerful European. And so therefore, the Europeans remain dominant in control of what history is all about. That's what he is saying, though he doesn't realize it because he doesn't have the intellectual, spiritual strengths to recognize that he is condemning himself when he gives all of that power to the European who have written the history and left his history out. He doesn't realize what he's saying because he's bereft of a spiritual identity for himself, and he does not embrace the truth, which is most important. But then I would retort, even after such an ignoramus statement coming from the black people who say the Europeans have written the history, I would say, why haven't you written something? I mean, surely can't you write? Didn't you know to write? Wasn't it significant for you to write? Show me something that the white man has left out of the European global history of the world. Show me some music. Show me a bridge. Show me a boat. show me something that you have done that he failed to bring into evidence. Just show me something. And there's nothing to be seen. Here's something even more diabolical in terms of black or African people in a consensus that the white man is superior, because that's what they say. He is the reason for our problem. Was it not for him, we'd be a happy-go-lucky people. The world would be wonderful if the white man wasn't so strong and always beating us up and always doing us wrong. All the consensus from Harriet Tubman to Malcolm X to Al Sharpton, the consensus is that the white man is superior, and therefore he's the one that's holding us down. And I alone, well, there are others that take my position as well, that's not true. That is not true. That the white man is not superior. But blacks have been bereft of an ability to make any significant contributions, and we must look at this truth and try to discover why, because no matter whatever else is being said, we're still God's children. And as Jesus said in John's Gospel 8, verse 32, that ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So we need to look at why is it that we haven't made the kind of contributions that we should have been able to make, that we might be a people. Here's the other thing that I've found recently interesting, which speaks of the wholesale ignorance of the pinch-nosed Negro and leadership, again, from Frederick Douglass to W.E. Du Bois to Al Sharpton and others, and that is this. When Barack Hussein Obama ran as the candidate for presidency, he ran as the first black, or the first African-American, a Negro president. And I stood and said, no, he's not black. And they said, well, why? I said, because his mother is white. He's got a white mother. Why can't he be white? I mean, he's just as much white as he is black. So how can you say he's emphatically black? Here's the retort from the pinch-nosed Negroes, from the Jesse Jacksons, from those Negroes that go to Harvard and to Princeton, and the Negroes that got good jobs working with white people, the Negroes that live in Montgomery County, the Negroes that live around white people, the Negroes who want to be white. Here is what they say. They say, oh, he's black. We know he's got a white mama, but that doesn't mean anything. He's black because, I said, well, why? He's black because he's black. I said, well, who said he's black? Well, the white man says if you got 1 ounce of black blood in you, you're black. Now think about that for just a second. Think about how that is a surrender of black people to the word of one white man, that for all time and eternity, how the whole black race has surrendered to such a statement, which isn't true. They have surrendered and said, well, the white man, the very person that black people say that are holding them down, won't write their history, are the source of all their problems, and were it not for white people in the world, black people would be a happy-go-lucky, beautiful people doing wonderful things. They come back and say, well, the very man who's doing us the most injury said that 1 ounce of black blood exempts anybody from the white community. If that is not racist, if that is not the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard about the human species, and black people have embraced it and have received it and have allowed that one word to be the law. It is not the law of God. It is not the law of humanity. It is not the law of DNA. It is not the law of the genome. It is not the law of biology. But black people have allowed the word of the white man to become law about 1 ounce of black blood excludes you from the white race, therefore Obama's black. I've never seen anything as ridiculous as the mindset of black people and how folly and how foolish they are. one can now easily see with just those two examples about why no history was written, and they have allowed a law, an unwritten law that defies DNA, that defies biology, that defies the human species to stand up as a false flag law. Now we can understand why they've not committed, why they've not created, why they've not done anything, and why they're in the morass that they're in at present, and why their leaders are such pimps, and why they're in such a state of failure. Those two particular mindsets that are so prevalent on the face, on the lips of black people that speak. So here, you talk to black people, it doesn't matter if you've been to Harvard or Yale or some other place prestigious, and that's what he'll tell you. But when you dig and look at the statements that you see, it is absolute surrender. It is absolute confession of inferiority. It is absolute confession of absolute ignorance and acceptance of self-hating, self-loathing, and also of racism at the largest degree. 1 ounce of black blood excludes you from being white. Now, I don't accept any of those. You would then say, well, Manning, the way you talk to black people, it makes them think that you hate them. Well, what are you going to tell? What are you going to say? You did build, okay, we did build boats in Africa. We did build bridges in Africa. We did build shoes with sandals with bottoms on them. We did invent combs. We did write books. We didn't. Well, don't say, just keep it to yourself. Don't tell anybody that, because no, you can't do that, because as long as you are doing that, people will never come to the truth. The truth hurts. And it's through this process of truth that we get set free. It's through this process of truth that we realize that we've never done anything of note until the white man came and brought us from Africa. And then the other item, of course, is that the white man didn't just come to Africa and create war and bring us away captive. Black kings and priests and witch doctors sold black boys and girls like it was okay, like the 2013 stock market, and that's how slavery happened. But it wasn't until then that blacks began to make significant contributions under the leadership and guidance of white people. So here's what needs to take place. This truth must be spoken, and those that continue to pimp the lie or to hide the truth must be put on trial. We need to put posthumously on trial people like W.E.B. Du Bois, people like the Frederick Douglass, who was a phony from the word go. We need to put present-day leaders like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and other major leaders, Pinch-Nose, Julian Bond, the Urban League leaders, and many of that, Charles Rangel and others that are in the Congress, and many of these people that are sitting on television as anchor persons or commentators on these major media that's continuing to pimp and promote the notion that if you've got 1 ounce of black blood, you can't be white. Why can't I be white? Why can't if my mama, my daddy is white? Why can't I be white? Why can't I be white if my daddy is white but my mama is black? Why can't I be white? Why do I have to submit ourselves to that? I'm not going for that. I'm not settling for that. I'm not calling anybody black just because they've got 1 ounce of black blood. I don't submit to that. And so this truth seems hard-hearted. This truth seems that somehow or another that I'm hate-filled. And because I don't meander and kowtow and cut deals with this black leadership, they're willing to now say that somehow or another that I'm a hater. No, I'm not. But we must have a trial. We must put these people on trial for the injury that they have done over the centuries to create this new prison complex where black men have been stripped of their masculinity and sent off to prison, and where children are left without fathers in the home, where 8 out of every 10 households are headed by women. We need to put these people on trial for the social injustice and the criminal killings of babies and supporting of abortion that they have done, and the runaway black on black crime, hatred that blacks do, killing one another in Chicago, South Central Los Angeles, New York, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Miami, Overtown, failure to raise up neighborhoods, allowing Harlem to be taken over by the big banks and big businesses, being sold out by people like Inez Dixon and Charles Rangel. We need to put these people on trial for the injury, for the modern day slavery. These are the new tribal leaders, Charles Rangel and Inez Dickens. We need to put them on trial, and David Dinkins and Basil Patterson. They all need to go on trial as the modern day slave trade, and the people that have come up and taken over Harlem as the new people of creating a new plantation mentality and spirit. And no, I'm not going to bow down and make you think that you've done something when you're not. You are people of Bereth. You've done nothing, but I do believe that you can be something, but only the truth is going to set you free. And so I remain, I will continue, and my words will reach you eventually. And we're going to turn this matter around, but I will not lead you to the promised land unless you're willing to put these pinch-nosed Negroes on trial for the injury that they've done, for the abortions, for the breaking up of homes, the establishment of the modern-day prison complex, and the establishing of the modern-day plantation, and the sellout of our youth to the societies at large, and then putting into office somebody like Barack Hussein Obama, who for years have snubbed this nose at you, have done nothing whatsoever to support you, but because you have never done anything else. You've never written a book. You've never built a seaworthy boat. You've never built a comb. You've never built a pair of shoes or a pair of moccasins. And as a result of the fact that you know deep down in your soul that you've never done anything, Obama seems to be a prize that you're not willing to give up, even though he hates you, he spits on you, he's a pervert, he's a liar, he's a criminal, but all of that lifts you out of the misery of the fact that you have never done anything and you're not willing to give up Obama, because he looks like he is the only thing of note that you've done in the annals of history, going back thousands of years before any white person ever sailed to Africa. Obama is your one and only prize, and you're not willing to give it up. But until you're willing to give him up and put him on trial for the traitor that he is and the pervert that he is and usurper, along with all the others, you're going to continue to suffer. Your homes are going to be destroyed. Your children will not know right from wrong. And as other people rise in this nation, you will continue to sink below sea level in terms of debauchery. But God has sent me, and I will continue to speak. And soon and very soon, my words are going to ring a sense of joy and truth to you, and you'll want to know more about this new world that God has established for us through truth.
All truth, all the time, the Manning Report is sure to blow your mind. Just let me hear